Hey everybody, I am doing this again for like the third time because the first two videos just got way too long and I think it lost my message as I was trying to read through a Twitter feed that I was responding and engaged with a bigger streamer, that much more known streamer than myself with. And we agreed to disagree on a lot of different things. And he said, I think we're talking about different things and different aspects. So we're going to try this again. I'm going to try and keep it under 20. So if it goes longer, I apologize. But my biggest question right now is, do streamers know best for what's going on in Destiny 2? My opinion on that one is most of them know, and I don't care how big of a streamer they are, they probably don't. My question is what experience do they have? Is it only in gaming? Do they have any experience in IT? Do they have any experience in business management? Do they have any experience in application development? Any of those combinations, database management, all these other things, workflow, any of that? Or are they just streamers that think that they know best because they've completed a world's first or two, or they play the game a whole lot, or it's their full-time job, things like that? What background or skill set gives them the right to say they know better than any of the other casual players out there or anybody else that plays the game, that might just not care to stream, but they have fun doing the game anyways and have accomplished day ones? Might not have been world's first, but have still accomplished it. So where are they at that point? Are they just providing an observation to get clicks, to get views? Or are they actually providing some sort of response and suggestion that is actually feasible, realistic, and beneficial for not only the gamer, but as well as the game developer? Now, by no means am I attacking who I'm about to pull up in this Twitter thread, and that I'm going to highly touch on it, nor means am I defending or attacking Bungie's developers. I think they need a lot of improvement on both sides, and I think streamers need to get out of their own way and understand, yes, they play the game, but their perspective is not the perspective of the majority of the player base. We've already understood, based on what Bungie said, that they brought on 5 million new players when they announced the Lightfall the very first time several months ago. There are 5 million players. We don't where they're at now. We don't know. We don't know with the concurrent player base. It's averaging somewhere between 150 to 200 a day, or at a concurrent time. If that's a rotation and we're getting a few million players a day, or if it's a few 100,000, I don't know, because we don't have those numbers. We're just working off of Steam data analytics for PC, which is about 40 to 45% of the actual player base, versus the 55 to 60% of the console player base. We're looking at Charlemagne and their statistics. 80% or so of the players are PvE versus 20% of the PvP. Things like that. We're not sure. So my question here, though, is, and I will do as much as I can to cite off of statistics because I'm a statistical person and work off of that. But in this case, after the dialogue that I've had, I have these questions. So the other day, Bobby Socks, fantastic streamer, fantastic content creator, good person, does a lot of explaining and helping people learn how to do PvP inside of Destiny 2. Posted the thing on Twitter, and he said, to everyone saying it's too easy to stay alive in PvE content, and he called out Salt Grepo on it. Not to be mean or anything. He says, have you tried just dying more? I don't seem to have a problem with it. Maybe I just adapted. Okay, I agree. I agree that PvE content has been very much simplified, and it has been designed now more for the casual player, more for the casual solo player. Do I wish that wasn't so? Yes, but I understand that Bungie's following a model. They have their own data analytics and everything else that says, hey, this is where most of our players are coming from. This is what the players want. Or what we think they want, and this is what's earning us the most money. Not necessarily the best thing for us diehard in-game people or veterans of the game that have a passion and time invested, but, hey, that's where it is. But I also want to start saying, if I go into YouTube and I pull up, let me pull up a YouTube thing here. Destiny 2, right? Let's look. We get a nutshell approach. We get these. We get some Lightfall stuff. A trap. You get Ikelos. And then if you watch the feeds and everything else from Godroll trying to get RNG you can also come in and you'll start seeing in your daily feeds and stuff that pop up the Titan Barricade and people calling for buffs and nerfs and how to take care of this and how to get the glitches and all these things. There is clearly something different that is out there where you get a lot of the streamers calling for nerfs and buffs, and nerfs and buffs just don't work. They're reactive. So my complaint on that one here, as I got to pull my notes back up, is Destiny 2 streamers. If you're going to call for a nerf and a buff, back it up. Justify it, because right now the data analytics show for the last however many years Destiny 2 has been around, and a buff and a nerf, while it is it commonly occurs in the game, is not a solution, and it causes more problems and breaks more things. So Bobby instigated a conversation with Salt Greppo. I responded to it, and then I started having a conversation with Salt Greppo. Kept it cordial. I'm not hating on Salt. I'm not attacking him or anything. I totally respect him as a Destiny 2 player because he's gotten some accomplishments, but I disagree with his approaches to how to fix a game, because it's clear that as a full-time content creator, and knowing that I think he's still in school or possibly in school, he doesn't have any gaming background experience in development. He doesn't have any IT background as far as I know. So this became apparent as we had the conversation later on when I kept bringing up artificial intelligence, leveraging machine learning to improve testing and identify exploits or trends that may be potentially used by players. He eventually admitted, after several tweets back and forth, that he didn't understand what AI, he didn't know what AI and ML meant. So I had to explain that. But we had to, he stated a few things. No one wants to get made only for themselves. However, it's always the dyad in guys please calling for the buffs and the nerfs. Now, there's a handful of streamers that I do follow. I don't follow Salt because he doesn't, I'm not entertained by him. I'm not going to lie. That's not me hating him or anything else. It's just not for my style. Just like those that watch this video, I might not be for you. If I am, please hit the subscribe button. That's awesome. But you don't have to. People like CB Gray, who I know have real life application development skills and knowledge and experience of years doing it in real life before they went full-time content creation. When they talk about the game and nowadays, they understand that how a nerf or a buff or a single change to an attribute can retroactively affect other attributes and other complementary things inside of the games or perks. There's multiple items inside the database. Let's define this real quick. We have with Lightfall 5 classes. We have Void, Arc, Solar, Stasis, and now Strand. Each of those have different abilities and perks underneath of those. Those all have to work with armor perks and stats, whether it be resilience, recovery, strength, mobility, intellect, any of those things, right? It has to work with those. Then you have to add in weapon types, weapon frames, weapon perks, all of those different ones, tie those all together. Then you have to tie in how those work with boss fight debuffs, buffs, shields, and then the seasonal artifact mods. So you have to tie in all those. So when you make a change, whether it be a percentage change from 50% resilience to 10% resilience, or make the change to do this or change to do that, every time you do that, there will be a trickle-down effect that may or may not impact all of those other realms inside of the gameplay and inside of the game design that may or may not get broken. To say that they don't and that it's simple for the devs to change resilience from 50% to 10% is an uneducated comment that shows lack of experience inside of a programming realm and only relying upon gameplay experience. That's not me again attacking Salt, who said that later on in here. That's me pointing out a fact that you have to approach when you say you want a game to be stable and to grow and to succeed. You have to take into account that when you make a single change, and this has been documented repeatedly on the forums and in YouTube videos, every time a change or a nerf has happened where it has broken the game, caused something else to be disabled, or another perk to be broken, or this to be disabled again, or for an increased number of volume of weasels or error codes or whatever it might be, there's always been an associated negative impact. Then you add in the fact that the community gets used to play style, and majority of these people are casual players. They just want to log in a couple times a week or only get to log in once or twice a month. And they want to be able to load in and play their game and play how they used to play, feel strong, feel like they're making headway and everything else. And then when somebody complains about something or some meta says that it's this Nerf Weather Horde, that's Nerf Galahorn, that's Nerf Divinity, which most of us endgame people know that we can adapt to and we can find other ways to adapt, change. Weather Horde modification from 7.5 to 4.5 seconds really made no change in PvE. The Galahorn, yeah, that made a little bit of a change, but now instead of on a 3-man team, if everyone running Galahorn, we have one Galahorn and a whole bunch of hotheads or something along those lines. We're still using the Wolfpack rounds to get what we need, but the person with Galahorn isn't doing as much damage. And the Divinity, oh no, we lost their debuff. We just have weakening grenades and tethers now, and we still use it for critical people who can't hit the shots. Doesn't make gameplay, it just makes it less fun for those casual players that just want to come in and have fun and be able to go to these more stronger defined loadouts. Now, is that a good thing? Should people be inspired to play outside of that meta? Yes, they should. I think that the game design, if properly done and tested in advance to inspire less use of one particular meta and more use of other things, is a better idea, instead of saying, let's just nerf it and buff it and say, some of this I'm going to have to read, okay? Because he says here, it's hard challenges hardcore players went through, most casuals wouldn't even notice. So he's saying here, if they change it, the casuals wouldn't notice. The casuals would notice. Every time, like Divinity, people went nuts on this one. And every time things had get decreased, apparently, I don't know if he understands the forums or he reads, or if he's just looking inside of his own community and stuff, but the casuals do take notice and the numbers trickle and they go down. Okay. So there has to be a balance, and you have to respect the casual player, because the direction that the game is going in right now is it has been catered to more of the casual solo player. Look at the Spire of the Watcher. You look at the new exotic that's come out for the pulse rifle. How many people do you know running, and do you see running around with the solo flawless emblem on? I know tons. And it's because it's been made for a solo casual player. It's become simplified to that point. And that's because people are wanting to log in. They don't have time to find a fire team. Maybe their friends went on, started playing something else, and they only have themselves to play and get in and get out of that game. And they have certain times, and they can't schedule something with somebody else. They're casual. They have limited time. So they still dictate a lot more than the upper 5% of the streamers out there, okay? And some of those streamers are great at keeping in check with reality and with the global community, and some not so much, okay? Yes, a lot of us that are veteran players that have invested thousands of time, hours, and money, hundreds of dollars into the game, are frustrated. But that does not mean that we're the only ones that impact the influence of the game. We do have to take into consideration people don't have all the time in the world to play. They don't get to be, as his thing says, a full-time Destiny 2 streamer. Other people have to do jobs. They have to go to school. They have families. They have other games they play. They have other activities they go do. Doing Destiny 2 is just a couple hours a week for a majority of the people. Okay, so to think that only the endgame streamers impact game player influence, you have to take into account and pay respect to your active casual players. Otherwise, they're just going to go away. And then he went on to say, and this is where I have to disagree, where he says, I truly do not think any amount of encounter design can fix certain broken things. No matter the difficulty, resilience, and things like that will always be overtuned and either trivialize the game or ruin build diversity. This is where I understand where he's coming from, but I have to 200% disagree with it, agree to disagree with it, because if a game was properly designed, they implemented something instead of using logic for game development 10, 20 years ago and looked at new technology, implemented artificial intelligence with machine learning, leveraging that, taking all their statistics, all their predefined hard perks, attributes, all these different things, and put them in the AI environment. Then take all the years and gigs and terabytes and petabytes of player data analytics that they have and dump that in to see how all the players have taken these perks, taken these abilities, taken these armor mods and these stats and use them to build a model, and then take in, hey, we want to make this change. We want to do this. They can take that in and see and run tens of thousands of simulations in an environment in a matter of minutes or hours, and not depend on the player base to define what might be trending, might not be trending, what may break and what may not break. They can do a much better job of saying that and then say, hey, look, if we want to design an encounter, a boss fight, they can use that same environment to say, hey, look, we see that the meta right now is a Weatherhorde, a Gallahorn, and Divinity, rockets and this for boss fights. How can we compensate for side that as we design a new boss or a new encounter to use other aspects, and let the AI kind of trickle through that and build on that and give them potential ideas and potential scenarios. So as you go into that, you have other things that say, hey, look, let's make it so this boss encounter doesn't benefit from Divinity, doesn't benefit from the debuffs or anything. Maybe we make it so where it has to be a certain type of a weapon loadout, or they have to have a certain series of combinations of abilities. So you have a plethora or use or an inspiration to use different classes to come in that give the same kind of damage, but do things. Please don't do puzzles, Bungie. If you're watching this, no puzzles, no freaking puzzles. I'm tired of puzzles. Anyways. So using new technology to define potential new solutions to encounters by 100% is going to be way more effective than the nerf and debuff methodology, which he goes on along later on and says, nerfs and buff things are a thing in any live service game, and they are currently. One of the main reasons why the population is declining right now is unchecked power creep and balancing debit created by a lack of nerfs and buff in the last year compared to the past in both PvP and PvE. So he identified a root cause. Power creep is one of them. Instead of nerfs and buffs, let's get rid of power. Get rid of that power creep and say, hey, everybody, boom, here you go. Now everything that you have is going to be based upon your loadout. It's going to be based upon your weapons, your armor, your perks, your stats that you can all go farm for. Even with really bad RNG in this game, you can go all do all that stuff. And then if you top in the artifact on top of that, you can potentially get, say, 10, 15 points of light or something that gives you a little bit more edge, rewards you for playing the game, logging into the game, and heaven knows, advancing your seasonal ranking and stuff to get to those points, giving you an actual reward to make things maybe a little bit easier for encounters such as master raids or grandmaster nightfalls or whatever, because let's face it, grandmasters are easy. You can get gilded in 3 hours, basically. You can run Master King's Fall in less than 90 minutes with 2 people carry. It's not that difficult. Nerfs and a buff do nothing to resolve this. Again, when you nerf or buff something, you are reacting to something that's broken, that is not balanced. And he goes on to say, well, we like the unbalance. We like that makes something fun. And, well, yeah, you get to create videos and you get to create content on it, and it lasts for 3 or 5 months, maybe even 6. Then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. And the people that got used to it, the casual players, the ones that you kind of just set to the side, get really upset, and they say, hey, I don't want to try to find something new. I don't want to spend 30 minutes on Google and YouTube trying to find a new build and then seeing if I have the right stuff to do it. I'm going to go find something else that I can just go in and play. And that's where you get a lot of the gun mechanic stuff. You see a lot of these guys calling for, oh, let's just get back to the guns and everything. If I want to do that, I got Call of Duty, I've got Tarkov, I got Apex Legends, I got all that stuff out there. I can just go do guns. Destiny 2 merged magic and abilities with gunplay. Don't lose that, because if you do, then we lose who our identity is. Okay? Yes, games as a service is a new thing. World of Warcraft's been around for freaking 20 years. They are learning right now, because if Riot Games comes out with their new MMO and it is half as good as it looks like it's going to be, and these other new MMOs with lots of money behind them, learning and trying to grow, and everyone's taking in, what did we fail at? What did we succeed at? Focusing on that, World of Warcraft, the devs and Blizzard and everybody else knows they have to step up their game. They are implementing AI and machine learning. They are getting into that. They are taking in and now ingesting in player feedback and trying to build those into an attribute that they can dump in and start calculating off of. You have got to evolve the mindset beyond reaction to what the player says is a buff or a nerf, aside from the negative ramifications it can have on the code and inside the game environment, but also to say, if I get this right the first time, I have less balancing and less nerfs. So that means when somebody finds something that is an amazing build, there's a less chance that it's going to get nerfed or removed from the game, and it's just going to be something that is there. And it works. Just because you think it's an overpowered thing and somebody found a way to make something freaking wickedly awesome doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. Most of the casual players, they want to feel like they're powerful when they're logging into it. They're not going to do endgame. They're not in the world's rush for day one first. So forget about that aspect. There's a very small percentage of the people out there competing for world's first that really are seriously hunkered down to go do that. So I get where he's coming from on that one, but you know what? Casual players are not full-time Destiny 2 players. They have other things going on. And so he keeps coming out in this thread, and I'll post down below. I don't want this video going much longer. Read through it. He suggests, well, if they would just hire professional players, really good players, they could solve that. No, Destiny's already come out and said that the reason they have us do the testing for them is they don't have the man time, they don't have the power, the resources or anything, and we can find the bugs and the exploits much, much more quickly. And that's due to the sheer number of people playing the game that are quickly able to identify that. Hiring 1 to 20 players does not give them that ability, because every time you get a player finds one exploit or one thing, he has to go submit that. It has to go through the development team. They have to review it. And as I said before, there's so many perks, attributes, different variables inside of the databases that have to be checked. Does it have a positive fix? Does it have a negative fix? Does it impact anything else? Does it break other armor pieces? Does it break other weapons? So it's not as simple as he's saying, we found this exploit and we can do all this stuff. Will they find exploits and broken things? Sure. Will they find all of them? Not even close. Not even close. That's why we have to rely on AI and machine learning and new technology and innovation. Force these game companies and developers that want to do games as a service to say, hey, look, technology as it was 10 to 15 years ago and the logic behind that cannot be applied into the next generation. We need to innovate and we need to do something quickly and be able to adapt quickly. So I am challenging right now all you streamers out there that think you know best to give us one single solution other than a nerf or a buff. Give me, if you're going to complain about Destiny 2, don't say, well, this needs to be nerfed and this needs to be buffed. Don't give me that. Tell me an actual original solution idea that can be used to better the Destiny 2 game, or heck, any other game as a service out there. Because a nerf and a buff is a reaction, and it takes time for developers to take those nerfs and those buffs to see if they can fix it and what other things it impacts, whether it be gameplay, game mechanics, attributes, or even system performance and game performance, tower load times, disconnects, weasels, rabbit error codes, all these different codes. Everything comes as things get tied together into this spaghetti code string that is known as Destiny 2. So if you're going to complain about the game and you're going to complain and say that this is what needs to happen to make the game better, and it's a nerf or a buff, I am going to automatically say you have no concept of actually what is a long-term solution, and you're reacting to the moment. There will always be a way to find another meta. There will always be something there that is discovered that is fun and everything else. And constantly saying, well, these people are having fun now. I used it and I got my world's first, or I was able to do this for a couple months. Now that's boring. Let's fix it. Let's get rid of it. So we have to find something else. You do that repeatedly over and over and over again, which is what has been happening. And suddenly the fun factor of Destiny 2 or any game as a service is gone. And it's not enjoyable anymore, and people are going to go find something else. So instead of saying nerfs and buffs are the solution, Destiny streamers, I want a different response from you. I want a solution that is original and will actually be long-term beneficial instead of short-term narrow-sighted. That's what I'm going to call Salt Greppo out. And that's what I'm going to call the bulk of the D2 streamers out there on. I hear about these nerfs and these things all the time in numbers and numbers of different videos from a variety of streamers. And I see a lot of YouTube streamers that make their video clicks off of Hey, check out this glitch, check out this exploit, check out this buff, this needs to be nerfed, trying to get the clickbait. And yeah, the title on this video, Do Streamers Know Best? It's a little gimmicky, but it is the question at hand. It is the topic of this video. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think a solution would be that would be viable other than a nerf and a buff. Or if you think a nerf and a buff is the way to go, because as Salt said also in this thread, he thinks it makes it fun. You get an unbalanced thing, people get to go play with it for a few months, and it gets pulled away. I think that the community, the bulk of the community, is tired of finding fun things to go do, only to have it buffed or nerfed and removed from the game, and they're like, oh, guess what? It's gone now. You don't get to do that because it was never intended. Instead of doing that, say, hey, look, using the AI and the machine learning, this is everything that's potentially there. This is what we want to have in the game. Let's present them with this. And if they find a way to go out there and have some kick butt fun, so let them do it. Have that fun. Instead of constantly saying nerf or buff this. Let the developers at that point be able to leverage stuff that can automatically respond to the needs of the player base, help keep the balance there, and let them go work on new creation, new content, new development, instead of trying to play back and forth with us and then people complaining, oh, we can't get this working, we can't do this. There has to be a balance. Now, that's not saying the Bungie's going to get it perfect, and I'm not going to say that AI and machine learning is 100% effective. I have been using machine learning in my real life everyday content for 5+ years of my day job. 5+, maybe even closer to 6. It is an amazing resource, and it can show you all sorts of trends. It can show you all sorts of things that may potentially break, give you ideas of where to go, directions not to head in, things that may send you down a rabbit hole that you shouldn't, and it can say, hey, that's a bad idea. Let's go here. So that was my solution. And I do know Bungie has a machine learning team that they're starting to fill out. I know this from posts they did on LinkedIn and everything. But that's a different thing. Let me know in the comments below. Hope you guys are having a great holiday and had a lot of good times with your family and your friends this time of the year, and you're staying warm with the cold snap that happened. Stay safe out there. I will see you all in game. Again, let me know in the comments below what you think, or even on Twitter. I'll share this thread on there. Let me know what you think. I could be just an old guy that's blowing smoke, but the gamer in me and the IT guy in me and the years and years and years and years of experience say that a nerf and a buff is a bad idea. It's a reaction thing. It's a band-aid approach. I want a permanent long-term solution. Anyways, stay safe out there, everybody, and I'll talk to you later.